Alright, Halloween Havoc. Now, if you see my Bound for Glory review, that was a very good pay-per-view. It was. But was Halloween Havoc better than it? No. Halloween Havoc is well below it. But it doesn't mean it was bad. It actually was pretty damn good for what it was. This is Bound for Glory. This is Halloween Havoc. That's what we got. But that doesn't mean it's bad. This is bare minimum. This is average. This is above average. Here's where Bound for Glory is. This is where Halloween Havoc was. Not bad. We got two good back-to-back pay-per-views from TKO WWE and TNA. But what does this really mean, I'll elaborate in a minute. First, North American Championship, Ubafemi versus the family, pretty much the family, entire thing. Tony D'Angelo and the family was all in it pretty much, even though it was a table, ladders, and scares match, and Tony D'Angelo did the majority of the work, and it was good. We still got Crucifino, we got Rizzo, and we got Stax eventually coming out at the end of the match. Now, Crucifino and Stax got the ass handed to him, and then we had a little strange look on the eye of Ubafemi like this, looking at a little bit of Rizzo, wanting to do something, because at that point, Tony D was zip-tied. Kind of reminds me of what happened in Bound for Glory, but they have been doing it also in NXT as well. I kind of feel like they kind of cross-pollinated one another to kind of bring it together, like what happened with Steve Macklin. You got the same thing with Tony D'Angelo. He was zip-tied, but unlike Steve Macklin, who couldn't get untied, Tony D was able to pull his arm out from the zip tie that was zipped onto one of the ring ropes. So we got him putting him through a ladder. And then we had a crowbar to a Ubafemi's back by Rizzo. Well, let me get you like this. Rizzo used a crowbar, and Stax and Crucifino used a chair. And then the Don used a table, and he won. Now, here's where it gets interesting. What now for Ubafemi? He should be done right now with the Don, but I don't think he will be. I do believe either they're going to let him stay away for a little bit to build up some anticipation, then he'll come back with a different attitude, and he will be going after the Don again. Because the way it looks like he's going to go crazy. Because the King could not stand not only losing once, but twice. And he looks like he would be the type to go nuts. So maybe they will go down that route, but I don't know. You guys can below. Next. Here's where I know and feel that this was rushed. We had... how can I say this when it comes to Vancare and Julia versus who do I like more? Do I like Roxanne Perez or do I like Cora Jade more? It's kind of hard to say at this point which one do I care more about, because you can easily say Roxanne I care more about because she's been developed so well, but then Cora Jade had been developed pretty well before she was hurt. So I'm kind of torn between which one would be really the most important between the two going into the next couple of months before another draft. So I don't know. But here's the thing. This was to see who is the most important. Who means the most. And the problem is, it feels like it was rushed. Because when it comes to what is her name? Vicaire, sorry. Stephanie Vicaire. I keep getting my car on Vicaire. When it comes to Vicaire and Julia, it feels rushed. They should have never been put in this position. It is too soon. Even though everyone loved it, I just don't feel anything from either one of them. They feel completely like blank slates that have nothing. And if anybody says, dude, look at the body of work they had outside WWE. Listen. I don't give a blue fuck where they were before. It don't matter. You have to remember, and many people don't, this is not about what they did before. This is what the company will do with them. If you don't remember what we have gone through for years when it came to WWE and now TKO WWE, what do they do with the talent when they got the most hottest talents? Do they book them correctly? It's not about what they did before. It's about how they're going to be presented going forward. And if you don't get that for your thick heads, that if Triple H and his team cannot write correctly, because it's no longer just HBK who's writing now, it's Triple H who's now working with HBK, there is going to be a big question of how they're going to book Stephanie and how they're going to book Julia. Because I know sooner or later, Cora Jade and I think Cora Jade may go to the main roster before a Roxanne. There's a good possibility. But you don't know. But the question is going to be with two new stars, with a third one. And what is the woman's name? I cannot remember her name. The one that was just presented, who's from Australia. I've only seen her now once. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know how to feel about her. Next, ambulance match when it comes to Andre Chase versus Rich Holland. It was a bit soft. Let's make this very clear. Neither one of them have ever been in not a ladder match, but, well, technically, if you're going to put it in a position you can understand. I've not seen Rich Holland in a ladder match. I've not seen him in a casket match. I've not seen him in any specialized matches. Nothing really serious. This ambulance match, which is the seventh one that TKO WWE and WWE has put on, I think this is the first time he's ever been in this type of spot before. Not saying he hasn't been in any very specialized matches, but in such an important match like this, he's never been in it. And it felt like, especially with Andre as well, they wanted to be a little gentle to each other. They were not being rough. You could tell the way they were hitting each other and using that gurney, that it was very gentle. They were not hurting each other, not saying they need to hurt each other seriously, but you can tell they were not going really all out. They were being, you got 10, which is all out, and you really hurt each other. Here's where most people go, like 70%. They were like 60 to 50. They were well under it. It wasn't a bad match, but you could tell they were being gentle to each other to a certain extent throughout most of the match. Because I think since this is kind of the first time they ever had to do a match like that on NXT for themselves, I think they were just being cautious for themselves. Of course, Andre lost. He's supposed to lose. There was no way Andre was going to win this. Ridge needed to be pushed, and here you go. And I'm glad they did, because Rich needed this push. He had to go through everybody and come back full circle again with Andre to finish him. And when the door on that 70s, either ambulance or, it did look like a 1970s ambulance. That's what it looked like, 1960s, 1970s ambulance, but also 1960s, 1970s hearses kind of looked the same, except one was in black and the other one was white. So, I will say, it was nice they weren't using a modern ambulance. I actually liked it. For me personally, seeing an old ambulance was nice to see. They did use a current day gurney though that was motorized, but hell is alright. Now, the gauntlet match. Let's make this clear. Did I believe Kiana Jordan was going to win? I wasn't sure if she was going to win. Because it's not about them putting three women and putting a Jasmine in front of her, then a JC, and then a Fallon. It was that, how far they gone with her? Has she reached the point where she doesn't need a North American Championship? Can she be developed more? And they decided, excuse me, they decided at this point, she needed to drop the title. She needed something to do. Maybe to chase instead of being the one who was being chased. So she went through Jasmine. She went through Jasmine. She went through JC, but she couldn't be Fallon, and she lost. Fine. But then, what was the girl's name? Zion? Zayak. I think that's her name. I'm sorry for the coughing. My folks been bothering me today. Zayak or Zaya. The new woman that just came in, that's from Australia that I just talked about. She appeared after Kiana Jordan was defeated. She whooped that ass. And now she's overlooking everybody. Do I believe she's going to be interesting? I don't know. Bringing someone in that hot so quickly with a good build and just being seen on the Titan and for vid packs, fine. But she better be interesting. Just being a big like this doesn't really mean a lot. Because look what's going on with Stephanie and look what's going on with Julia. They both feel like they were rushed. I'm sorry. They didn't need to have this match right now. They could have done something more substantial next year. But this is what we got. Now, before we get any further, there was something that was funny there. We got the Boogeyman. Dude. They wanted to surprise most of the women. And they surprised the tag champions NJ Cargill and Bianca. They surprised B-Fab. They surprised Bailey. They surprised Tiffany. They surprised who else? I think there was one other woman. I cannot remember. With the Boogeyman with worms in his mouth. With a box over his head. And they had to stick their hands in there and try and figure out what it was. Even DIY with Champion Gargano. They were surprised. And also Braxton's... what was it? Was it Braxton? I think he was there. But let me give it to you like this. Was it funny? Yes, I liked it. I did like that segment. I didn't expect them to show the Boogeyman on Halloween Havoc, and it was damn funny. He scared the shit out of everybody. So it was funny. He said, "I'm the Boogeyman. I'm going to get you with those worms coming out of his mouth." That's just a surprising thing. We are going to get several matches this Tuesday. We're going to have the Heritage Cup. When it comes to Lexis King, he's going to have William Regal in his corner, which kind of surprising. Then we're going to have a match between Wendy Chu and Tatum Paxley, a casket match, which is okay. Seeing Busted Open Radio with Dave and and Bully Ray was alright. They had to use the name Bubba, but you know he's Bully. And then Rich Holland gets in the face of Bully, and then there's an issue with both of them. So I will say they did do some good segments that's setting up for next week and going forward. Trick Williams and Ethan Page in a Devil's Playground match. Anything goes, falls count anywhere. Good match. Seeing Trick starting to bleed from his mouth. Interesting. Not bad. Seeing that he managed to be able to defeat Ethan was alright. Then Ridge came in and whooped his ass until Bully Ray came in and whooped both him and Ethan because Ethan wanted him to himself. That was getting mad at Ridge, going, "What are you doing? He's mine." But he changed his mind and said, "Okay, you're going to do it? Finish him." And then after he nailed him, Ethan was going to do it until Bully Ray jumps into the ring and now he gets involved. So that's good going forward. So I will tell you that this was a good pay-per-view or PLE. And it's going to lead to more stuff down the road for NXT, possibly having Bully Ray, who just went to Bound for Glory, who was in a match. No, not Bound for Glory. My mistake. He was at Force of Excellence. And that's MLP. Forgot. That reminds me, I will see if I can do my night 2 of Maple Leaf Wrestling's Force of Excellence tomorrow. That'll give you some, because I'm not going to do a Raw review. I don't do Raw. But I am going to do that. Hopefully you guys want to see it. But seeing Bully Ray is not dealing with Maple Leaf Wrestling, it was a one-off, and now he's in NXT. He's going to probably work with Trick Williams, which actually would be pretty good for Trick Williams to be working with Bully Ray. Why not? you see they have something being set up for the future. But as I said in the beginning of this, what does this really mean for both NXT and TNA? What are we really getting with this collaboration? We're getting more on the NXT side than we are getting for the TNA side. I'm saying it honestly. NXT is getting way more publicity by just working with TNA. But the reverse doesn't really feel the same, because you can see how NXT has changed. I'm not fond of knowing that Triple H is going to take more of a creative role over probably of HBK, because you can tell that the product is different now. HBK, most of what HBK did, he did on his own, and he took a little bit of Vince and a little bit of Triple H and his own, and he mixed them together, and it was not bad. But now you can tell Triple H is involved in it. So it's not the same anymore. But due to the fact that most of what's going on in the main roster is now there, it's adjusted, it's changed, and the numbers are still going up on their ratings. TNA, what are we getting with TNA? We got very few people coming over. Very few people coming over from NXT to TNA. Mainly women, almost no men, very few men to almost no men, and the product has not changed. I'm sorry. Xia Li coming in is a nice thing. We still got Nick Nimitz. We got Joe Henley's over. When it comes to Jordan Grace, even though she dropped the title to Marsha Slamovich, this doesn't really hurt her. She may actually take a break for a little while. So you can see that they do have established people already, but it's not taking it to the next level. They're not changing. Just improving to a certain extent their production value is not enough. They need, I've just been told that next year they're going to go live as an experiment. Bullshit. They should have gone live this year. They should change the style of their booking to a certain extent. Stop doing most of what they've done and do something more substantial. But no, they're still sticking to the same style of booking. And even if they get more sold out arenas, does that mean the booking's better? You can sell out arenas, but if the booking is okay, but not better than okay, how long does that last? Particularly that the main reason they're getting exposure is for as long as TKO WWE is going to work with them. The moment they're done, what then? If they haven't changed their product in the booking, in the presentation, in how they produce the show, the camera work, the lighting, the stages, which they have done that. But if they don't change other things to go with it, what do you get? Not much. Even though they're doing well, does not mean they're doing good. But it's just me. Peace.